Today I have the pleasure of meeting for the first time for myself and introducing to you folks formally for the first time our new CEO, Jeff Parker. He's been with us now for a couple months. And Jeff, it is great to have you here today.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. And I think you've already done a few meetings with some of the board, so people have probably seen you there. But you've been here, you got here in about mid-February, am I right?
Right. Beginning of February, had a chance to sit in all the board members now and got to know them, and then sat through all of the board meetings so far, one rotation and starting on another one.
All right, so let's go kind of backwards from where you were right before this.
I was previously the city manager of the city of Tustin, just up the freeway here.
And that's a great city.
Yeah, I've been there for 7 years. Previous to that, a couple other city management responsibilities in the Southern California, city of Claremont and city of Walnut before that. So been a manager for about 27 years and been in the business for 35.
So how'd you get into this business? Because I understand that originally you were thinking about another profession.
Well, I got a bachelor's degree in political science and thought I was going to go to law school like everybody else at that point in time, and ventured off to just get a job and landed a job in an insurance company as a management trainee. But after about 3 months in that, I figured, it's not the place for me, and went on to go earn my master's degree in public administration and got into local government at that point in time.
So you went to UC Santa Barbara?
UC Santa Barbara for undergrad and Long Beach State for graduate school.
All right, and you didn't want to stay up in Santa Barbara?
It was a tough choice to leave.
it's a great place. It's beautiful up there. So a little bit more about your personal background.
Well, I actually grew up on a ranch. My dad was superintendent of a very large citrus ranch in Ventura County. So I was a farm boy as I was getting raised up. And then realized that was too much work as far as labor-wise, and decided I wanted to use my brain a little bit more than my brawn. So went off to get my bachelor's degree, and from there on.
I think that's really neat, because a foundation, of course, of Southern California is the citrus industry, and certainly used to be, and I think that's kind of neat. Well, what did you guys grow there?
Well, basically it's orange, lemons, and avocados.
Okay. That's Valencia oranges, right?
Yep.
Yep, there you go. So, I was reading this article about you that was both in the Register and then our employee newsletter here. And in both articles, you talk about what happened to you a few years back when you had a tumor.
Yeah. About 12 years ago, started noticing some hearing loss, and more importantly, had some severe vertigo, dizziness.
Oh, okay.
And went through some specialists, ended up at the House Institute down in Los Angeles, fairly well known about dealing with hearing issues, and found that I had what was called an acoustic neuroma, which is a non-malignant, luckily, tumor near the brainstem that was basically damaging my balance nerve and basically ended my hearing on my left-hand side.
So obviously they were able to remove that. And after that, did it take you some time to adjust to that?
Yeah, the learning curve, which I thought wouldn't take long, I thought I was in pretty good shape. It actually took me about 8 weeks to get back to work. I had to learn my full balance, literally walking balance, which took a lot of exercise and rehab to do that. And then luckily, part of the surgery included putting in what's called a Baja implant, which is a hearing device that can be attached to the skull and allows for noise and volume to go from one side of the skull to the other side, which is pretty creative.
All right, that's similar to a cochlear implant?
It's very similar, but it's just a smaller version of it.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, we have a great Hearing Well Club here, and Tony Barriott would be very interested, maybe have come by and be a guest speaker sometime.
Probably would be interested in doing that.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic. So you haven't been here too long, but what is your first take of this community?
Well, I think one of it is it's an amazing active community. It's got every club imaginable, and the services and the amenities that we have in the organization and in the community are just wonderful. I mean, from golf to pickleball to tennis, you name it, you can do it here in this community. And I think that's what the residents really enjoy about the village. So that's the great thing. As far as just the people, they've been very, very gracious and open and welcome to me being here. So I really appreciate that.
Well, your predecessor kind of set up over the previous 2 years a lot of some changes and brought in some great staff. And I'm sure you've been here a couple months now. You've had a chance to get to know them. What are your impressions?
Well, I totally agree. I think one of the things that Brad did, and one of the things I want to continue, is developing a really good staff. Brought some really sharp people in, some people that had already been here. I've always said you got to get the right people on the bus, and then more importantly, put them in the right seats in the bus.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on, and we're going to continue to grow in that area.
What about in general, some of the things you have seen in your short time here that you would like to maybe move forward a little faster, or something that you see that you might want to change?
I think one of the things that I'd like to do is just create some more efficiencies. I think there's areas where we have a lot of duplication in some of the things that we do. We have a lot of committees, but I think we can centralize some of those committees and work more efficiently with the staff that we have.
Right.
I think in the budgetary area, I think there's some improvements that we can do in our workforce that's going to make our operations more efficient and more effective, and hopefully keep assessments from going up, which is a big deal for our residents.
Right, and in a community that's over 50 years old, and all the different needs, just the structural and infrastructure needs, it's tremendous.
Especially in the area of United, that mutual, where we're more involved with the buildings than we are with Third, that's critical in making sure that the upgrades that we make this a viable community for a long time.
Right. Now, one of the problems here, and I'm not going to put you on the spot too much, but I know you've probably heard about it, or something that it's always been ongoing changes and tweaks, is the bus system here. And I know just recently they brought in a consulting firm and talk about that. Did you have any takeaway from that?
Yeah, well, first of all, we did do that. We brought in a consultant, which is going to give us a third view of it, along with our staff that's doing a great job managing the circumstances. We had the town hall meetings, as I call them, where we had 2 workshops and got a lot of good feedback from the people. And we're going to move forward with that group coming in with the final report and giving some recommendations on how we move forward. I think we got to look at how big is our ridership, how much are we spending, and can we do it more effectively? Yeah,
and I think that's, I've been here for quite a while, and the bus system has always kind of ebbed and flowed about what people have had some great ideas, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
And there's new strategies with regards to transportation. You have things like Lyft and Uber that didn't exist a few years ago. So could you integrate those could we use outside sources to help integrate it all into making it a really effective system and getting still our residents what they need?
Well, I'm sure it helps that you were at the city of Tustin and other cities, and really what you've done over the past 20, 30 years plays well into this community, which a lot of people say is like a city.
It's very much like a city in a lot of ways, infrastructure-wise, development-wise, and I hope that I can bring my style of leadership in looking at new things and looking at new ways to do it, and better ways to do it, and make it more efficient. Is going to lead the community into a better position in the future.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. And part of being CEO, you've got to come on every few months or so, and we'll get updates for you. I'll look forward to that.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll be right back.